All right. Got another package in from Japan. Another probably unnecessary thing as we start looking at, just the replacing some stuff. I am not a believer that half of this stuff makes any kind of horsepower improvement or anything along those lines. But yeah, I just like to tinker, I guess. So I'll show you what I got, and then I'm going to go through the process of getting it on here and probably take it for a drive. Maybe I'll show you that, maybe I won't. The drive is more just to make sure everything still operates normally, but let me show you what it is. So this one I ordered, I talked in the past about 500 yen. It's awesome, I love it. Everything you need, pretty much everything you need is available on there, new, used, etc. Shipping can be a little pricey depending on the size of the product, but if it's not that big, it's not that bad. But this I actually bought from Amazon.com Japan. And it is, let's see if I can get it out of this bag. I thought I had the bag open, but guess I didn't. It is replace the part that goes from the hose here. So this will go here. And then this other hose, I don't know what this stuff is called, so forgive me. Please feel free to drop in the comments and correct me. I don't claim to know much at all, but I'm also not afraid to try. So this piece here would be the rest of it. All right. So this would go here. So yeah, we'll see. There's a valve on here that I don't have, coming off of this one, I don't think. No, so I'm not sure what that's for, and if it's supposed to be connected to something. So yeah, I don't know about that. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. I don't see anything that it would connect to on this one. Oh yeah, I do. There it is, right there. So there's another hose right there. So that's what it's for. Okay, well, never mind. Sometimes you just gotta take a second look, right? So yeah, that'll go on there. This other piece here, and it goes like this. And it comes with these blue silicone hoses to connect everything. The back end, front end, and the part that joins the middle, then some clamps. So yeah, we're gonna get this thing assembled, put on here. It'll look cool. It'll go with my intake, and we'll go from there. But I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Completely unnecessary, helpful, or just cool? I'm going for just cool. But anyway, I'm gonna start putting this thing together, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, so here it goes. See how this comes off, and should be pretty straightforward. All right, so it's off. I just need to disconnect this hose. All right, old one off, pretty straightforward. So the one thing I did wrong in my previous, earlier in the video when I was showing kind of how this laid out was how this part went on. I had this flipped. Logically in your head it makes sense because of the S shape, that you'd follow that shape. But what happens is this canister gets in the way of this radiator hose. So if you were to do it this way, there's no way it'll fit. And so I actually have been sitting on this for a week, not knowing what I was gonna do with it, thinking it didn't fit. I figured I was doing something wrong, I just didn't know what. So I decided to do a little research and look for some other images. And I actually found a very similar listing on eBay for this, and realized that I had it on backwards. So when you put it on this way, that's what that curve is for, and it fits nicely. So just a little note, don't do what I did, because that's not the right way. So yeah, so this just goes on like this. It still kind of touches this hose, but before it was like, it was in the way, like kinking that hose. So that's why I didn't install it. I don't love the silicone hoses it came with. They're just not all, they fit, but they don't fit perfectly. I really wish they fit a little different than they do. They'll work. I think you can get these tight enough where it's not a big deal. But it's just one of those, like, I feel like they could have given better hoses that would have fit to fit a little better. Yeah, but even, well, I'm gonna have to go. Even this is like, where this is sitting on here, it's just not, now that I've got this on here, so if I were to put this here, it's a little bit, I don't know, a little loose. And it doesn't seem like it sits, I don't know, maybe this needs to come back a little further, give more room for the, to let it sit straight. It's just not sitting straight, so I just don't know if it's the, let's see. Try this again. This one's tight. This one seems to fit really well up here. So that one doesn't make me too nervous. You can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it from there, but once you put it all together, this angle here, it's like I can't get that hose or that over far enough. So it kind of doesn't sit great. And it might just be that this is too long to sit on there. So I'm gonna see if what I do if it wasn't there and I just used what was on there already. I mean, that's already it's a perfect straight, comes out, goes straight, goes into this. It's a much better fit. I think I can pull a little piece that's in here, this rubber gasket, and pull that out. And if I think it'll fit in here. It does. And then I think I'll be able to slide that right back on. It goes on. The only issue I have is now I don't have a hose between the two to clamp down. So it's just sitting on there. I mean, it's It's pretty snug. It may not need that. I don't love the idea that it's not clamped in. I'll show you what I mean here. So if you look, that's what it looks like installed. They give you this one that's supposed to go here, but the gap that it forces between this piece and the intake is a little too big, so it causes this here to want to go this way but as it turns in. So I don't know if I cut some of this off and shorten it up, if that'll give me more room to kind of push it in. I'm gonna mess with it for a second, see what I can do here. Okay, after a little bit of tinkering, nothing that I felt was like worth you guys watching, I think I got it in a good place. So use the rubber insert from the one side of this, so this side, leave it on there, and then that hose fits on there nicely. It's a perfect fit, and you can clamp these down. I could not make it work with the silicone hose up here. It was just pushing it too far out this way. No matter what I did, I couldn't get them close enough, which was also causing this to sit a little higher. And my concern was it was gonna rub up here when I close it, because it's a little close. When you look at the height, like it's pushing the limits of some space in there. But these are clamped down. This is on there. I don't have a clamp on it. I don't think it's gonna matter. I may get like an exhaust style clamp. Like a, not a, double bolt, big old hanger style, but like a V, almost like a V clamp. I might do something like that just to put a little pressure on that to hold it on, but it's just pulling in air. So I don't expect it to be a problem. And then there's this hose down here that reconnects. But that's it. I don't know if it's necessary. No different than this monstrosity here. Now we've got this monstrosity. At least it all goes together, I guess. I'm gonna start it up, and I don't expect to see, sound any different whatsoever. But we're gonna do it anyway, just because, that's the next step, right? So I turn this on. There you go. That's it. As I always say, I will drive around with it for a bit. See if I notice anything crazy. It just started downpouring out there. Gross. Anyway, so yeah, we'll drive with it for a bit. I know what you're all thinking, I'm sure. Well, I won't necessarily assume you're thinking it, but I'm thinking it. Like, this is all so unnecessary. Like, these come OEM, they come stock for a reason. I had, when I bought this, I think I had 150,000 kilometers on it, so it's like 90-something thousand miles. Runs great, and it didn't have any of these things on it. So there's no reason to believe that any of this is necessary. But I like to play. I like to try this stuff out. Gives me content for you guys. It's not really why I do it, but it definitely does that. So yeah, that's it. That's the installation of this intake chamber is what it's called. The other thing I did is, I think I showed in might have been my last video, I installed the fuse tap for my GPS speedo. And the problem with it was it prevented the original fuse box from going back on because the fuse tap was in the way. But I designed this dude. It's a pretty close replica of the original, and I just added this bump out. So it makes accommodates the fuse tap. I've already test fitted it. It works fine. The words are a little hard to read, but I feel like in a pinch, I'll figure it out. I can read it enough. And there's always Google, which is where I found it, and made sure I got the right one. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Unnecessary, but I wanted to keep the fuse box covered, so it's covered now. But anyway, future projects, I don't know. I did recharge my AC. When I plugged it in, the gauge did say it was a little low. So I recharged it. It definitely seems to be blowing colder now than it was, so I'm pretty happy with that. What else? I still need to get this whatever you call it, inclinometer installed. I'm super nervous. Again, as you have heard me say a lot at this point, if you've watched my videos, is I don't like to drill holes. So I'm a little nervous about drilling a hole to accommodate that. Here's another thing. I'll probably do a separate video on it, but this was recommended to me. This Fusion Restorer, this is gray, trim restorer, this is Fusion gray. I did it for my dashboard, and I'll tell you what, it is pretty impressive. It's hard. I wish I had a before, because this thing was gross. And you can kind of see here, my steering column is super faded. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull off that steering column and make a separate video on using the trim restorer just to show the before and after, because I tried the heat gun on the dash and it actually worked really, really well to bring back some of the color. But that plus throwing the stuff on here, for a car that is 30 years old almost, that obviously had a lot of sitting in the sun based on some of the parts. It's some good stuff. So I also bought some black because I wanted to do, see if I can get the color back in these buttons here, and the ones down there. Ooh, right there. My hope is that I can bring some of the black back in that, just restore it. I thought about whether or not I do the back, all the side trim or on the back, in the back area, because that's also gray and plastic, but it's not that bad. Didn't get, tinted windows, didn't get a lot of sun exposure, so it's not too bad. But yeah, so that's it. I'll come back with a video on the trim stuff. I just thought it was pretty cool. I'll have links to it. Truly appreciate the recommendation that came on the USA Jimny owners group that I started. It's in the description below, so click on it and join that group if you're not a part of it. Really good group of people, helpful people. I'm working hard to keep spammers out. I have some questions set up that are required that seems to automatically do it for me, so it's not a lot of work yet, but I know it's a USA group. I like to tell people it's for everybody, because there are people all over the world with tremendous knowledge, but it's more so to just reduce the amount of folks that are just trying to list stuff for sale that, I don't know, skeptical on whether or not I'd order some of that stuff from those folks. But one other thing is I think I've got a leak in one of my washer bottle hoses. I found a little hole in it. This is empty. I don't know if it was stuff in it before. I think there was, because I saw water coming out right here, just kind of spilling out here, filling up this, and then there was a pool on the floor. So I took my air gun and blew it all out, and I came back the next day and there was more. Then I discovered it was a little wet up inside the engine bay, and I kind of looked at the hoses, and I found this little spot that's got a hole in it. So it looks like they run into the vehicle behind the dash. I have no interest in going back there. So what I'll do is I think I'm just gonna cut right where the hole is, pull it out, put a connector in it and run a new new hose back to the water bottle. No big deal. I just got to get the stuff to do it, mainly just the connector that'll go in between because it's pretty small. And I thought I had something that might work, but I don't. Like a little, not a T, but just a straight hose to hose connector. So yeah, that's the stuff I've got right now. I'll leave it at this, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.